Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday, the 18th of August. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is right at the bottom of that rising wedge. We'll call it rising wedges because the upper resistance line is slowly moving towards the support line, and 91.30, the nominal area of the support line there from June. Below that, on an end of day close basis, we're looking at the 90.27 August floor, and worst case scenario would be down to the 50-day line, 89.64. Difficult to work, or 89.60 rather, difficult to work out exactly what might take the market down there, although obviously it's crunch time as far as Russia-Ukraine is concerned. As far as getting this market back on a bull track and hitting the top of that wedge, 93.30, probably need an end of day close on the right side of 91.50, basically through the resistance of Friday. DAX is next, and here you can see that we've got this market dithering around that July resistance line around 24,300. We want to see an end of day close, a proper one rather than one on Friday through that level to get us up to 25,500 maybe by the end of next month. It's the market slowing down here. Support initially at the 50-day line, 23,900. Worst case is we've got to test the August support again around 23,400. But we are in the wake of an RSI 50 rebound, so that is perhaps why this market is still holding up relatively well. On to the Dow, which obviously we looked at over the weekend as well. But here, just to remind you that we need to get a proper end of day close through 45,000 to give us a move up to the top of that May 2024 rising trend channel, 47,600 by the end of next month. Likely support at the 50-day line, 43,800, but no worse than that, hopefully, on any pullback. If there is a calamity, it would be down to the price channel floor and the area of the 50-day line below 42,500. That's the 200-day line there at the moment. Moving on to Bitcoin, and slightly disappointing start to the week. As you can see, just trying to stay above the floor of that rising trend channel from back in March, and so far not doing it. Also, just below the 50-day line, around 116,000. Below that, at the risk of a move down to old May resistance and the initial August support around 112,000. But hopefully, nothing worse than that, even though we do have the RSI back below neutral 50 at 45. First end of day close above 119 probably would be a trigger or a signal that we're ready to head up to the top of that channel from back in March as high as 132,000. Currently looking for that by the end of next month. Gold is next, and here it's been tough, but at least we've kept that April support line there as support around 33.30. Above that, looking for the April resistance line there, 34.20. Now, the other best case scenario here, or the best case scenario here, would be a move up towards 3,800 on a successful break of 34.20. But at the moment, that seems to be a little bit elusive, especially given the RSI 50 failure that we've had over the past week, leaving it at 47. Onto the stocks, and happy times for the rare earths at the with China's supply ban and everything else, export ban rather. Here we can see that Altona, second unfull gap to the upside here in consecutive trading sessions, looking for 2.4 pence by the end of next month, or hopefully a bit sooner than that, especially if that 50-day line starts rising. We've got the RSI back above neutral 50, which is also helpful. Perhaps not surprising after the bear trap gap reversal that we've had at the end of last week and going into this week. Bezant is next, and here was the stock hurtling towards our target there around 0.06. If we can get there in the next couple of days, then looking for up to 0.07 or 8 by the end of this month. So hopefully Bezant can step up to the plate. On to a stock which we hardly ever look at, and I don't think anybody else does either, which is CalNext Solutions. A punchy call here in terms of the feeling that the shares above recent broken neckline resistance around 50 pence could head up to the top of that rising trend channel from May last year, as high as 80 pence by the end of next month. If you're cautious, you wait for an end of day close through the post-May resistance at 55 pence and that 200-day moving average shown in black. Ideally, whatever happens, we stay above the floor of the channel and the 50-day line at 48 pence. On to Sizzle, which seems to be going great guns in the US. We've had a bear trap gap reversal here. You can see that we're in a broadening triangle effectively. That's been in place for over a year now. But we do need the shares to get back above that 200-day line, 1.7 pence. If they can do that relatively quickly, i.e. this week, then we could be looking at 2.8 pence by the end of next month, especially if there's further positive news stateside. The situation at Cadence looking quite encouraging at the moment, or more encouraging than it has for quite some time. We've gapped up today on lower costs news, 2.5 pence a target there at the top of that broadening triangle. And we're looking for that while we're above the 200-day line, 1.9 pence. And hopefully we should get that well before the end of next month. On to Empire Metals, which seems to be just going from strength to strength. We've hit our fourth or fifth target, lost count on that, at 34 pence. Looking for a final near-term target here, which is derived from that April 23 resistance line projection. That's heading quite rapidly towards the 40 pence zone. That's what we're looking for. As soon as the end of this month, while we're above the low 30s, but at least by the end of next month, I think we're in the run-up to a JORC resource revelation there. Oxford Biodynamics is next, and a lot of people are very excited about this one, but what's interesting here is that we gapped up beginning of last week, and we've held the gap. We've also got a rising 50-day line, so it does look as though we could head up to the top of that rising trend channel from July as high as 0.72 pence by the end of next month, or even sooner. Ideally, we stay above recent broken resistance at 0.48 on an end-of-day close basis. On to Panther Metals, whom I interviewed a few days ago. Good to see that shares have bounced quite well on the right side of 0.8. That was the top of the gap back in January. Looks like that's coming into support. Trajectory here is that we want to see a break of the near-term target there at 103, above that, looking for up to £1.50 by the end of next month, but we need to stay above that 0.8 pence level. Other point to note is the way that we've had multiple bounces for the RSI at or near the neutral 50 level, which should be a leading indicator on the upside over and above that U-shaped turnaround that we've had over the past couple of weeks. Finally, had some movement in Pulsar, the market getting quite excited about the latest RNS. We've seen the shares are basically flatlined since the beginning of the year or earlier this year. But today we've had major flow test results from Jetstream 1, which is very, very exciting, and exciting enough probably to make the shares go up to the top of that rising trend channel from December as high as 36 pence, hopefully by the end of this month. Ideally, we stay on the right side of recent broken resistance at 28.5 pence on an end-of-day close basis. Moving along to Pantheon, where it looks as though one or two people successfully guessed that the company would deliver some good news today. They successfully guessed, certainly on Friday, where the shares were up quite well, and the stock heading rapidly towards our initial target there, 33 pence by the end of this month, and looking for, as a best case scenario target, if there are no drilling upsets, to head up to 45 pence by the end of next month, which is the upper parallel of that rising trend channel base. Ideally, we now stay on the right side of recent broken resistance, post-June resistance, around 28 pence on an end-of-day close basis. Moving on to the last two. The first one is Seeing Machines, which again is not a stock which is covered every day by people, but here we're just about to break the falling trend channel the shares have been in since the early part of last year. Just trying to extend that line there. The top of that falling channel around 3.1 pence. Above that, and we're looking for a fresh leg to the upside, perhaps up to 3.75 pence by the end of next month, filling that gap down that we had back in February. Upside value while we hold above that rising 50-day line at 2.75. Finishing off with what is the dish of the day. It was said that, maybe in jest or otherwise, that Wishbone could be the new great in gold, and you can see that we've gapped up above the rising 50-day moving average there at 0.37. We've broken through a previous target there at 0.5, and the next target of 0.75, that only leaves 0.94 as an end of month and August channel, a technical target rather. And if we're really excited, we can actually say that the next real level up there is 1.1 pence, maybe for the end of next month, while we hold above recent resistance from July at 0.76 on an end of day close basis. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.